Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of Drop the Magic Mic, brought to you by the Highbury Squad. I am the aforementioned Magic Mike. John, on a scale from 1 to AF, how magical am I in your eyes?
Definitely AF. Definitely
AF. I mean,
yeah.
You could go higher than that if you wanted to.
I don't. What's higher than AF? I don't even know. Is there?
AG maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
On a scale from 1 to AF, how hungover are you today? Because I'm AF -1. I mean, I've been more hungover, but not that much more.
I think -1 is about right, but I'm up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not -1. It's just one below AF at this point. So anyway, we're gonna try to trudge through this because we are troopers. Mm-hmm. We are lifelong professional podcasters, and this is what we do for a living.
Yes.
We don't have any other job, any other work, any other career, any other education. We just do this.
Exactly, which is why I had no problems getting on this podcast today.
None whatsoever. No technical issues.
No,
nothing like that. I personally hate questions. I don't know why I just asked one, but I hate questions that start with "on a scale." It just doesn't usually end well for me. But today I've got a bloke with me who is named after a city. He used to be Miami Jon. He doesn't even live in the city anymore. He used to represent the 305. Now he's Chicago Jon. He represents the 312, 773, the 708, even the friggin' 872, Belle Biv DeVoe, BBD, ABC, East Coast family. He's my personal barrister. He's a man who loves a nice 2-1 football game, and we always agree to disagree. It's John. Welcome to the pod.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, so we're going to try to do this. Welcome to Drop the Magic Mic. Sophie told me she was going to have you host the show on a regular basis, but Drop the Magic John didn't have the same kind of, it didn't roll off the tongue, and it actually sounds kind of gross.
Yeah, it sounds something like bathroom related.
Yeah, so I mean, lucky me. So if you saw, dear listener and viewer, the first installment, you'll know that Drop the Magic Mic is a lighthearted, hot, sexy one-on-one, hardcore NSFW Bants Fest, where we have 5 magic mic drops to talk about some of the kind of less tactical parts of being a football fan, specifically being a fan of by far the greatest team the world has ever seen until countries started snapping up and buying teams, the Arsenal. So last week with Ian Owen Young, we went over such important topics as the most hated Spurs player of all time, including one player who woke up to find that his foot had been eaten off by a rat. Football clubs outside the top 6 that we hate, which included Accrington Stanley. Favorite types of goal celebrations, favorite version of Bird Leno, and of course, what's the deal with the ladder climbing dance? Only the most crucial topics that you, the viewer, are just dying to hear. So this week we've got another great set of important questions that will help us solve all of the world's problems together. So without any further ado, see what I did there? Let's go to mic drop number 1. Mic drop number 1. Your 3 best Arsenal moments ever personally experienced. Now, I specifically chose you out of a pool of thousands and thousands of potential people because I wanted to get someone who like myself has a good number of Arsenal experiences, but isn't necessarily home and away every single week for the last 30 years to where this would be just a massively impossible chore and all the obvious games. So this will be a little unique, and I really couldn't even pick 3. I cheated. I have 4, but. Before I say them, I wish I could be there when we won the league at White Hart Lane, at Old Trafford, at Cup semifinals, but I just haven't had the opportunity. So I'm going to start with my number 4, and then we'll alternate and figure out your best 3. So Number 4 would be the 9th of December 2015. 6 months of planning a trip to London, and it's my first European away day. It was always unlikely to mean anything. I mean, the sixth round of the Champions League group stages is usually, for Arsenal at that point in time, a dead rubber. I mean, remember those lovely days where we didn't even have to worry about round 6? In fact, I think I saw a round 6 Champions League game with you in Miami one time.
Yep.
But we won't talk about that. In any case,
another day I was extremely hungover. Actually,
I could tell.
Yeah.
So
I was not doing good that day.
Yeah. So we lost to Dinamo Zagreb in the group stage. We lost at home to Olympiacos. We actually beat Bayern Munich 2-0 at home, and then got destroyed by our usual 5-1 on in Munich. So by match day 6, not only did we have to beat Olympiacos in the incredibly different atmosphere at the Karaiskaki Stadium. Sophie's going to kill me for that pronunciation. I was told that if I got drunk that night and acted a fool, I might get stabbed, and so I took that advice. But my friend Rio and I went out to Athens, had a friggin' amazing time. We knew the game was going to be a tough one. We had to actually win by 2 goals in order to overcome the head-to-head goal difference, and we all know how that went. Giroud scores a hat trick, one of the most underrated, underappreciated Arsenal players in the last 30 years, by the way. And we progressed out of the group stage for the 85th consecutive year, just so we could get our asses handed to us again by Barcelona. So that's number 4. Just being away on an away day anywhere, but especially a European away day with that kind of pressure is something you've got to try to do bucket list wise before you die.
Yeah, for sure. And I have not done a European day yet, so I'm definitely a little bit envious of that, and I haven't had the opportunity yet. And unfortunately, I don't know when the next time I will. Hopefully, it's sooner rather than later.
You can take your grandkids to like Ukraine somewhere.
Yeah. Well, but we have to be in a European competition first, and I don't know when that's going to be. Hopefully, this season, or next season rather. So.
We just have to make a European competition that we could be in. I mean,
yeah.
Like the Audi Cup is kind of that situation. So, what's your number 3 moment?
So my number 3 moment is the 2013-14 FA Cup final win. I wasn't actually there, but in terms of Arsenal experiences, I didn't know that was this one that has to be when we were actually there, or
no, just an experience that has to do with Arsenal.
Okay, in that case, yeah, it has to be the 2013-2014 FA Cup final win. I remember this was really big because we had such a trophy drought going up until then, and we had all these questions about the manager's future and what was going to happen, and we had just signed these amazing players, like Mesut Ozil, and I remember thinking, okay, something needs to happen, right? We need to actually, and then all of a sudden, Hull City come in. Chester scores a goal in like the 4th minute, and then Davies scores a goal in like the 8th minute. And I was going, holy crap, what is going on? We're another year without a trophy. Obviously, we all know what happened because Orla came in and scored an amazing goal. Then Koscielny in the 70-something minute. And then in injury time, Ramsey with the winner became a hero. It was amazing. And just to see Arsenal with another trophy after having so long without one, I think that was a big moment for me.
Yeah, and it was an extra time, so we had it wasn't even like a late winner. It was the fact that we had to wait through 30 minutes of. Yeah, I mean that's my number 3 as well. We were still kind of suffering from the hangover from years before that of the Birmingham League Cup final, where everyone's like, okay, finally we'll win a trophy again. It's been like 5 years. And we didn't beat Birmingham, of course, and so yeah, that we had a business trip in Napa that week, and it started on the Sunday afternoon, or Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. I don't remember which day the game was, but we were in San Francisco waiting for kind of the shuttle to pick us up to take us to Napa. And fortunately, the game started at 9 a.m. there. So we got to Maggie McGarry's in San Francisco, which is a great, great Arsenal pub. Great supporters club there. Got there about 6:30 a.m. Stood outside for a little while, then got into it, in by a television. The game starts, like you said, just absolute sucker punch situation where you're like, how could we blow this badly again? And from the moment that Cazorla scored that free kick, it got really crazy in there. So I started the game with one person I knew, who was my wife, who was very patient in going to the game, going to the bar with me that morning, and ended the game with like 400 family members who I exchanged various bodily fluids with. And it was incredible. And by the time we got to the work event that afternoon, I was not in any shape I was not safe for work.
Yeah, and it just meant so much to the club. It meant so much to Arsene Wenger. There were so many doubts, and this was a really meaningful trophy for the club and for him. And I know some people look back at that and say that they kind of wish we had lost that so we could have changed earlier. And I don't understand. I don't understand that as a football fan to want that. So for me, that was it became one of the best Arsenal related moments that was one of the first things that popped into my head when you asked me the question. So I
would say for any Arsenal fan who really discovered or adopted the team in the last 20 years, 15 to 20 years, that is the moment where you finally were like, okay, we can win things. We broke our duck.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, and speaking of breaking ducks, this is what it felt like when it happened. So, just for those of you who
are auditory and visual learners.
Yeah, if you're very visual, then you needed to see that. All right, so that was my number 3 as well. Your number 2, and I don't want to see your number 2. I just want to hear about your number 2.
Right. Drop to John.
John.
So my number 2 has to be the first time I went to the Emirates, which was about 6 years ago now. It was in 2015. It was in December. It was for Man City at home. And it was kind of, remember, like leading up to the match was really cool because, we were actually doing fairly well. And I guess our Red Action or whatever had put like all these plastic banners around the seats during game time. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'll never forget getting there. After so many years of being an Arsenal fan, I never got a chance to go to Highbury. And I was finally able to go see a game, in person after watching them for so much. And the atmosphere leading up to game day is something that if you've never experienced as a fan, you need to at least try your best to do once in your life, because the entire city, it is kind of like there's a vibe in the whole city leading up to these big matches. And
there's a smell.
There's a smell. There's something going
smell.
It's in the air. And I'll never forget, like the year before, I was sitting watching Arsenal Man City in the pub, and I was watching all the fans in the stadium, and I'm going, man, how cool would it be to be there? It's a cold night in London. There's the stadium is packed. It's a huge game, leading up into the new year. I wish I could do that. And I said, well, I'm going to do it. So I did. I got there. And I remember seeing the pitch for the first time because I had a one of those tours with Charlie George, and the Legend tours. And I remember seeing the pitch for the first time, how green it was. And I actually talked about this with Claire when I was doing the podcast back in the day. That moment, just seeing the Emirates pitch for the first time was, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. So.
Yeah. And I love hearing that because, recently, and I don't want to dwell on the negative, but recently there was a bit of a hubbub on social media about, a particular American blogger, as it turned out, who
was like crying. That guy?
What?
Was it the guy that was like crying when he saw the pitch?
Yeah. And there were people taking pictures of him taking video of people taking video of him, and like it didn't quite seem as natural of a moment as we've seen in some other situations or as has been described because it wasn't filmed. So. I kind of get the staged element of it, but I mean, we're jealous of people who go all the time. They quite often feel that the international or the new fan, or at least the newly present fan who gets to come to a game the first time is really given much more praise than the people who put in the the grind every, and I'm not here to argue one way or the other against that. Both are true, but it is something when you watch it and you love it and you want to be a part of it and you're 4,000 miles away and then you finally just get there.
Yeah.
Step into the place. It's
a spiritual moment. That's the only way I can describe it, because it's not a moment that you deal with every single day. It's not an emotion it's a very weird series of emotions that you start feeling, and I distinctly remember it. And what made it more interesting was because the actual game, I mentioned Red Action, they had like this whole display before the game where everyone would put up a different color, red or white pieces of plastic, basically, which I still have, and it would spell out gunners and like a cannon. And it was like a European night, and the atmosphere was absolutely crazy. And we ended up winning. Walcott scored the first goal, and then Giroud scored another one. And then Torre came back with an amazing goal. All three goals were in front, right where I was sitting, which was right in front of the net, which was awesome. So even though I got to see Man City score a goal, I got to at least see it in front of me instead of all the way at the other end of the pitch.
They're going to score a goal, at least make it, not 1,000 miles away on the other end of the pitch.
At least I experienced it. So, definitely 2015, the Man City game, seeing the Emirates for the first time, actually going to a game for the first time. That's definitely it was difficult to not make that my number one, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say I can't wait to hear your number one if that's number two with that level of emotion. And this is a long mic drop. The other four will not be this long, I assure you. But
yeah.
My number two, very similar to yours. It wasn't my first time back, but this was a day that from start to finish was just perfection for me from an Arsenal standpoint. So it was an ordinary game, no ordinary day. It was 11th of March, 2018. Starts in the morning, jumped out of bed in Highbury Square. I leave the flat. I walk up Gillespie to grab a burger. And this is the smell that we're talking about. When you just walk by Gillespie Road, people are getting off the tube. They're going one way or the other. They're going to to a pub or they're going to the Emirates. But the burgers, man.
I love those little crappy burgers.
Those burgers and the onions and the sausages. I mean, it's just amazing. So took a walk up the steps to the Emirates and visited my my celebration corner plaque for my son and I that we put in. Got a little hungry while I was visiting some friends of ours' plaques, so I tried to eat the plaque from my friends Andy and Liam from Madison, Wisconsin. But
as you do.
I mean, I thought it looked like a candy bar.
Yeah, this picture's been up there long enough.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so then it's on to the Tollington, and there were a lot of people coming in for this game, and not the least of which the person who I was so excited to see again was my friend David Faber. He is God rest his soul, man. I mean, nothing compares to taking in a pint with Dave, hearing his class and his history just oozing out of his mouth. And this was the last time I really got an extended opportunity to just stand with him and talk about our club together before he sadly took ill and passed away. But so that obviously by itself would have been enough for a good game. Then other people start showing up. The two Toms, Tom Canton there. I think he was about 20 years old at the time. And then
he's
my
perpetually
friend Tom,
20. Tom is perpetually 20.
He was a fetus right before this picture was taken.
Yeah.
More people show up. I gave a bag of dicks to this guy.
To this bag of dicks.
Yeah, they were our sponsor of our podcast at the time.
I remember that.
So this was free, but I decided to give it to this upside down headed ginger goofball, also named Andy, not my Andy, but and so just the crew getting together at the Tollington. It was a nice time. Then we get to the game. Joey Murphy's there, of course, Ola, Tom, and this was the game where Mainsley was coined. So we've got that going on as well. Ainsley Maitland-Niles will forever be known as Mainsley because Tom just got excited and had a beer and didn't know how to talk anymore. We won the game 3-0, but the standout moment of the game against Watford was, of course, Petr Cech saving a penalty from Troy Deeney.
Yeah.
His one and only penalty saved in an actual game situation. for
And that was,
Arsenal.
and just for context, that was after all of that nonsense with Troy Deeney talking about our cojones and lack thereof.
It wasn't even nonsense. It was kind of true, but yeah, it was 5 months after that. After that Watford game, he saves the penalty. We win 3-0. Goals from Mustafi, Aubameyang, and Mkhitaryan. How random is that?
Yeah.
To top it off, the day can't get any better than that. But we go to 12 pins. We start having some beers. We're talking about the great win, and around the corner comes Lee Judges and this guy.
Yeah.
This was the day that Kevin basically became a fan favorite, pal, friend to everyone, every man, showing up at the pub and having drinks with us. And we tried to call Andy because it was his birthday weekend and he wasn't available. So that's me somehow in the picture laughing at the fact that he didn't get to talk to Kev Campbell. And the night ended with us just singing and dancing and singing songs about Tottenham, which I have video of, but I didn't think Kevin would appreciate me putting them up there. So just one of those days that you wake up the next morning and you're like, I was out from 8:30 in the morning until 11:30 at night, and there wasn't a minute of it that I didn't just have a great time. Completely inconsequential Arsenal moment, but for me, that's the kind of day that, and those are the days you can have all the time. If you, that's why I think there's a lot of jealousy that comes from foreign fans, is because if that's the kind of day you have going to a game, it's once every few years. It's not, once a week or once every 2 weeks. And but don't take it for granted. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
So your number one Arsenal experience, better than going to the Emirates for the first time.
It was
better
difficult.
Included a woman.
It was difficult between both of these, and there's a reason why I ultimately picked this one. And ironically, it's also the best and maybe worst Arsenal experience of all time. It was when we went invincible and we won the league, invincible at White Hart Lane. Obviously, I wasn't there, but I was a pretty new Arsenal fan at the time, and I remember, thinking like that's what cemented it. Like I said, good and bad. That's what cemented me as an Arsenal fan. Like there was no going back.
Bad because you started at the top and you'll never
reach the top. And it was only downhill from there. But
you had the Champions League final run a couple years later to look at. But
yeah, but not as like there was for me when we went invincible, we went an entire season without, and it was especially coming off Arsene Wenger like basically saying we could do it, and then we actually go and do it, and then it's like. I remember that was it. I remember distinctly cementing, okay, well, I'm never going to not be an Arsenal fan. And for better or worse, that's been the case. And so, yes, like I said, it's a little bit bittersweet in retrospect. At the time, it was the impetus that kind of solidified me as an Arsenal fan. And that, it has to be my number one moment. It has to be.
You say for better or for worse. For better, you've met a lot of great people through the Arsenal thing. You've had this experience. For worse, you've met me.
Yeah. Probably shaved off some years of my life due to emotional drainage.
Had you become a West Ham supporter, that we may never have met.
Right. Well, clearly.
My number one is also the moment that took me from being an Arsenal fan into being a Gooner for life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said on our podcast a number of times that there was a period after I got back to the States from living in London, when I got married, started a family, I had little babies running around, and it wasn't really easy to follow the team. And the Invincible season is one where I just completely had I was disconnected. Like I was like a plug that was unplugged that year when it came to Arsenal. So I am jealous of people who the double years of 98, 2002, the FA Cups, I missed all of that. I missed Bergkamp's entire career, and I hate that fact. But the thing that sealed my Arsenal fandom was 26th of May, 1989. And people that know me are absolutely sick of hearing me talk about this. But
I could have guessed that one for you.
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, I've seen that picture.
This guy right here, this guy as well, who look how hot I used to be, and still am.
Used to. Come on
Yep.
now.
But that, I'm not claiming I was at the game. I'm not going there because I wasn't. But at the British Flag Pub in St. John's Wood, which no longer exists now, but with 5 or 10 of my Arsenal supporting friends in a pub fully packed with mostly Liverpool supporters, I distinctly remember Ferry Cross the Mersey playing over and over and over again on the jukebox. Which normally I didn't mind. Like we would go there to play pool on a regular basis, and I didn't mind. But like during that game, I it was enough, and then that was just on and on and on during halftime, and then 45 minutes later, I was lying on the floor of a pub, face down, with 10 men on top of me, and fortunately, that was the second to last time that ever happened. I don't normally like to be face down with with that many men on top of me, but yeah. Mickey Thomas's goal. I mean, that entire experience. I just wish I had really had the wherewithal to understand that I needed to get on the tube and head up to Highbury. For the post match. So it didn't occur to me to do that at the time, and I think I probably at 16 I had to get home or I was going to be in trouble or some shit like that. So
and it's those regrets and those kind of moments, right? Like, but it doesn't change it. It only makes it kind of this magical thing that could have happened. Like I could have gone to Highbury if I begged my parents enough to like take me. I don't know, maybe. Yeah. So it's those kind of regrets.
And that's why we want more to happen so that we can, we can live through those. But yeah, I mean, every time I watch like the '89 movie and Fever Pitch and stuff, I mean, when they do the part about the Derby and the Wimbledon games prior to that, I was in that North Bank, living and dying those games, and it just I thought we had lost it. So it was such a great experience, and that's why even with 10 plus years of really not being in a position to follow the team, I absolutely came back to them later on. So that is a very long mic drop number 1. Number 2. Mic drop number 2. Worst Arsenal kits. 3 worst Arsenal kits. Now, we did discuss this ahead of time so that I could get pictures queued up. We did not overlap. We almost did, but we did not overlap on this. So we're going to start.
Good.
We're going to start with you again, and you've given me the years, so hopefully I have the right kits.
Yes.
You're starting with this one, controversial choice, but your third. Well, we're just going in chronological order. This is not.
So this order this is just one of the 3 worst.
Yes, one of the 3.
Yeah, man. What is that?
1983-84, right?
A lot of people love this kit, but it's green, man. Like, come on, what is that?
This looks like it should be a goalie kit.
That does not look like an Arsenal first team kit that does not play in goal. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know that we've gone that shade of green
ever
since then. I'm not going to say we haven't gone green, and I don't
want
to spoil anything.
We've gone like mint green, which was one I was thinking about.
Yeah. But all right, so that's 1982-83. From there, we pretty much went into some traditional red and yellow JVC kind of jerseys, but that's, you're reaching way back into the Wayback Machine for that. We're going to jump forward 25 years to my number to my
one of your 3
hated one, and this might be controversial.
That is,
I like a lot of people like this, but
I like that kit. I have that kit.
Beside the fact that it wasn't exactly slimming for me,
horizontal.
Although in 08, in 07, 08, I was actually that was one of my thinner years, but I'm peeking around so everyone can see all of this.
Look what's happened since then.
Yes, I just don't particularly love this kit, and I joke about the ones with collars being, I appreciate them because I could wear them to work. They're more formal, but just because of the collar. But I generally don't like the ones with collars. They're just kind of too constricting. So this might be controversial. I think a lot of people might have liked it, but I'm just not a fan. So that's
a controversial one. I like that one. So
I like the next one that you picked as one of your least favorites. So I believe we're going with this one.
Yeah, I just don't know why. It's always and like we did good stuff, like decent stuff in that kit, but
Yeah, we have to separate. We have to separate like how we played in a kit versus the kit. Otherwise, because there are some awful kits that or some great kits that we played really bad in. But yeah, you didn't like that one. I'm trying to remember who I got in that kit because I was 100% getting like. In fact, I know who I got in that kit. I was getting at that time I was getting like the fake Chinese kits from dubious websites, and they would never be the right size. And I think that one, I believe I may have gotten, unless I'm getting my years wrong, I may have gotten a Chamak.
You see,
Chamak in 10-11?
Oh man, I might be mixing that up too. I think he was.
I thought that
don't worry.
I got him on the back of that, and that's just there's no. Yeah, that was the year he signed for Arsenal. So I normally got kits of newly signed players. There's no excuse for getting Marwan Chamakh on the back of a kit. So my personal kit of that, I don't particularly care for, but I didn't mind the color combination and that sort of thing. So another controversial one, because you either loved or absolutely hated this kit. But my second of three least liked kits is this one.
Another good one.
See, you liked it. I
have that kit too. I have that one too with Ramsey on the back.
I love how we have to like peek around the picture here. Yeah, I think there's a few reasons I don't like this. And this one also I got from the fake website, and I got it with Walcott on the back. So that's one reason I might not end up liking it. But it was also like I ordered like a double extra large, and it barely fit over my arm. And
wait, hold on. Wait, are we not liking them because of the kit themselves, or just because you got one that didn't fit you well?
I don't like it because of the kit, but I'm giving some background that maybe there might be some bias coming from other reasons because I actually emailed the website and said, this isn't fitting as described, and the person comes back and says, honestly, 102 kilograms, which I would love to be right now, is a little baby fat here. Normal weight is 80 kilograms. And I'm like,
wait, can you put that up again?
Yeah.
Keep it.
So
we'll refund you the price now. 1 minute. Honestly, 102 kilograms is a little baby fat here. Normal weight should have mentioned. But what a weird email.
Trying to calling me a fatty.
What a weird email. That's awesome.
Yeah, and look, I was 40 years old, bitch. I mean, like, look, I'm sorry, but and it's only gotten worse from there. Believe me, I would love to be whatever 102 kilograms is now. But she was right, because when I did put that jersey on, I ended up pretty much looking like women. I mean, not just the color, but the body shape and even the eyes and the mouth. So
the soulless, dead eyes.
Yep, and the constant need to have double cheeseburgers. So again, I don't know if the personal experience comes into play, but I wasn't really a big fan of that kit. But again, that's to each his own.
Yeah.
And here's your third one, which I was contemplating for a little while, but
this one's god awful. Ugh.
I have mixed feelings about this one.
Zero mixed feelings about that.
It's weird because it's just weird, but. That is the kit that was being worn when Giroud scored his hat trick in Olympiacos. So for that reason, I may have.
But again, we're separating what was done in the kit versus the actual kit itself. As an Arsenal FC football kit, that is an abomination.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's a Pierre-Emerick abomination. So yeah, that's fair. And I was actually considering that one as well, but I couldn't name three kits I didn't like without having this one in there.
Yeah, that one was either that one or the 2010 the away one.
Yeah, this was horrendous. I think we played horrendously in it. But more than that, it just never show me this color again, unless it is in a box of 64 crayons.
Yeah.
And it's the one that you use to like make grass on a little drawing that a 4-year-old was in.
Or toothpaste.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I did brush my teeth with that shirt, I think, a handful of times, which is why, much like Gabriel, all my teeth have fallen out. But all right. So those are the three worst Arsenal kits for each of us. Love to hear your comments in the chat. They're not in the chat, but in the in the chat, in the comment section. I'm sure it will be very controversial, but that is mic drop number 2. Owen started this in the last one. I noticed when I dropped the mic, he would go like this, and so that's a thing now. Yeah. All right, mic drop number 3. Number 3. Mic drop number 3. 3 best Highbury Corner pies. Now, I one of the reasons I invited you into this show particularly as well is because I know when you come to see the Arsenal, you are coming kind of as a special event, I hate to use the word tourist, but I mean we're coming in, and in the sense that we want to experience all the local pubs, all the local traditions, and Highbury Corner. Again, rest in peace to the store. We hope to see you back again soon, but Highbury Corner is one of those places you got to go.
Yeah.
If you like Arsenal, if you like the tradition, and if you are fat, which is the reason I go. So Highbury Corner, I'm assuming you've been there?
Of course. Full disclosure, I have, every time I go, I get 1 of 2 pies. I did. So that's where I'm at there. So I don't actually have 3, but I can give you 2, and I've liked them enough.
And if you, because I'm the type of person that gets the same thing every time I go to a place.
Me too.
If you really like it, then why explore beyond that? But by the same token, I'm also the type of guy who can eat 3 pies. So while everyone's getting the mash and all the side dishes and all that, I have a pie with a side of a pie, and then for dessert I'll have a pie. So here's the biggest menu I could find. So if you've got 2, I'm going to start with my number 3 pie, which is the Tony Adams. Basic, straightforward, incredible leadership skills from this pie. Steak and ale. You can't go wrong with steak and ale. You can't go wrong with steak and just about anything. But yeah, Tony Adams would normally be my appetizer. Steak and ale pie. So now again, we're separating the pie flavors from how you felt about the actual player themselves.
Yeah.
So who's your number 2?
So it was Tony Adams. So I'll go with Tony Adams since it's the same one. And it was. I remember the first time I had the first time I ever had like a British pie was the Tony Adams. So that was the first time I ever had one ever. So that was my first experience.
That'll spoil you, because if you go to like a lower league football game or Watford or something like that, and you get the pucka pie, it isn't the same thing. I mean,
so that's a great point that you bring up, and it's actually 100% true, because I was doing a thing where since I was in town and I wanted to go see whatever I could go see, I was going to see other Premier League teams play. I know you've done the same thing when you go up there. So I went to an Everton-Chelsea match at Stamford Bridge, and I had their pie, and I was like, let me check out with the difference. And I could tell you right now, it is not even close. They had a pie place there. That was the second pie I ever had. This one blew it out of the water. And
it's not. Those pies are 90% crust, and the crust is good, but it's 90% crust. And the pies at Highbury Corner were like 90% meat. And
yeah, it was like all about the love of the filling, and they crushed it. And I remember, I love that like savory kind of flavor in my food, and like my mouth is watering just thinking about that pie right now. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, Paul and Nikki, we miss you. Hopefully you'll be back soon. All right, so my number 2 is the Ian Wright steak and Stilton. Now, this could have been my number 1, but there's just a better one on here. But I may be Jewish,
maybe.
But if you get in my face and tell me I can't eat meat and cheese together, I'm gonna punch you in the goddamn face. So, in fact,
there's a lot going on there.
If you try to stop me from eating this pie, I'm gonna put 10 pieces of bacon on it and then eat 2 of them. So. Steak and Stilton, man. I mean, I didn't used to love like harsh blue cheeses, but I've grown in my stature and in my eloquence of things that I like to eat. I don't know if eloquence is the best word, but steak and Stilton, unbelievable combination. And again, even though I've said this is against the rules, can't go wrong with Ian Wright.
Yeah,
can't go wrong with Wright.
Can't go wrong with Wright.
And your number 1 pie. I have a feeling it's going to be the same as mine, but we'll see.
It is not. It's actually the Patty Gilligan.
Oh,
Yeah, steak and Guinness. I
Wow.
like. Yeah. I like things when you mix it with like a darker beer. Like I like when you cook with beer first of all, and then when you can do it with and it's such a good way with Guinness. I like when people cook with Guinness, and
Have you ever just cooked a Guinness
I
and
haven't
not added anything to it?
just like warm fried
Yeah.
Guinness. Nope.
Yeah, like kind of
That
like into
sounds
a creme
awful.
brulee kind of situation. Guinness brulee.
That sounds so bad.
The Guinness with like a little glazed top that you have to knock into with the spoon, and then
Yeah.
you sip through it. I mean, look, we're coming up with new culinary delights. So
Yeah.
I don't know
Cool.
why
That was not British word. That was not a
No,
Britishism.
but it's an idea that came from a British pie. So
Yeah.
all right, so we're cooking with Guinness. My number one, I like steak and things,
Hmm.
but if you're going to offer me a pie with perfect breading, red wine reduction sauce. Now I have no idea whether there's any reduction involved in it, but you can't say red wine sauce without throwing that word reduction in there.
But it's a chemical thing. It just means that they heat it up and then some of the water evaporates, so it becomes thicker.
Well, then that's what they're doing, because I don't like any sauces that aren't reduced.
Yeah.
We do a
most-
reduction. We do a reduction podcast sometimes, which is really good. But and then you go all out and you put huge chunks of venison all up in that mofo.
Mm.
I mean, I loved Thierry Henry as a player. He was all right, but that pie is the best thing he ever did for me, hands down. And
Well, now I have a new one to try.
yeah, I mean, venison and red wine reduction sauce is amazing. And in looking at some of the other ones on there are some that I would not. I mean, I love Lee Dixon, I really really do, but chicken balti, not my thing. Aaron Lamsey, I love me some lamb, but if it has vegetables in it, you're done.
I think Charlie Nicholas is the one I would have tried next. If you hadn't said anything about the Thierry Henry, I would have tried the Charlie Nicholas, because I wasn't going on players that I liked. Like it wasn't like that's not why I was like, I want to eat food. What do these look good? Steak and ale, yeah, easy. Steak and Guinness, again, great. Like anything with beer and food is good for me. So
exactly, and and the West Indies Porter jerk chicken pie had also had two other names. One was the Theo Walcott, and I asked Paul one time, the owner, I said, "Is that because he's a jerk?" And he was like, "No, it's because he's kind of from the West Indies or has like a West Indian background." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I think it's because he's a jerk." Yeah. And then I believe they called it the Saul Campbell after that or something like that. But anyway, we love Piebury Corner. Those are our three best Piebury pies, and that is mic drop number 3.
Number 4.
Mic drop number 4. 3 preferred game-winning songs instead of Sweet Caroline. Now, recently, I've had the opportunity to speak to someone who has control over this. Not necessarily complete control over this, but so stay tuned. I might sing a song, and that might become the new Arsenal post-game song. But yeah, so we're going with 3 preferred game-winning songs. Mine are completely random and weird. I don't know how they're going to go over, but
me too.
I'll start with number 3. I kind of went with a Queen theme for a couple of these.
Okay.
Another one bites the dust. I mean, come on. Imagine we barely beat Norwich 1-0 as we do. And like 1 second after the whistle is blown, dum, 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 dum. I mean, I just think that would be great.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that sporting. You're literally, making fun of your opponent the moment that they've lost to you. But I mean, we need a little bit.
Literally what we do in the stadium.
Right.
Anyway, like the entire match, we're making fun of them.
Right. I think I'll be at the next 3 home matches, and I am going to be doing that. I'm just going to start singing that and doing some stupid dance myself, even if it's not on the loudspeaker. So
nice.
So it's another one bites the dust is my first one. How about you?
So are the part of these were like funny and part of these were songs I like. I thought "Burning Down the House" by Talking Heads would be cool. Like Yeah, like that. You know what I mean? Like just that.
Dude, you're saying that so well. We're going to get a copyright strike for the Highbury Squad.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Sorry
and
in advance. I just, first of all, I noticed there's a lot of like 80s themes, except the last one that I have, and I love the Talking Heads. So I feel like it would be a good one, because I think some of mine apply to both, whether we win or lose, and I think that Arsenal fans burning down the house is pretty much what we do whether we win or lose anyway. So I thought it was appropriate.
I think if we lose, it should be some like horror movie theme, like the theme to The Exorcist, or like, completely randomly, one of my favorite, like, walking out to these songs.
Tubular Bells, I think. Tubular Bells, it's called.
Yeah, it is called that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite walking out songs, like before the game, was just I don't even know the name of the song, but I think it was Sunderland that used to, or maybe still does. We just don't see them anymore. Used to play this like operatic theme song, on their way out, and that's a whole nother mic drop that we can do later on in the series is the entrance music. But my number 2 after the game, completely random. It was 3:00 in the morning when I thought of this. Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen. And I think my mind was going in the sense that if it's replacing Sweet Caroline, we have to have like a another song about a woman. And so Come On Eileen's a little bit more festive, a little less awful, but so Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen, which happens to be the very first music video I ever saw on MTV back in the day. But that would be pretty cool. So that's my number 2.
Yes.
Let's see your number 2.
That's a good. My number 2 is Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Got a little bit of an 80s theme going.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think it would be a lot of fun. And then plus after winning, like I feel like a stadium singing the chorus to Everybody Wants to Rule the World would be an awesome thing to experience.
Now we're both kind of going with the fact that if they play the song that we're talking about, that everyone, like 60,000 people, would remain in their seats. Unlike with Sweet Caroline, where people are at the 12 pins by the time the song ends.
Yeah.
They would stay in their seats. They would have a hearty rendition. They would join in. It would be amazing. I think that's what you need, though.
Yeah. And part of me was thinking, like, if I like, because we hear it anyway. So even on the when they're doing the post match and stuff like that, you can hear the song in the background. If there's I don't want to listen to Sweet Caroline anymore. So what song would I want to listen to again? If I had to hear it again and again, and it's Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Yeah.
My number 1 is just, technically my number 1 is Another One Bites the Dust, because I think that would actually make the most sense and be the most unique. But my third one is Bohemian Rhapsody. I have no idea.
Well, you can't play like 8 minutes. Like, so what part of the song?
But you can, though, and everyone sticks around. We win a game. Everyone's dancing around. They're singing high-pitched operatic goofiness and nonsense, and and then at some point after the game, everyone, when they have the chorus or whatever, the guitar part, everyone just starts banging their head like Wayne's World, and we've won 3 points. You go to the pub, you have a beer, and then you have
and you commiserate over killing a man.
Beers. But it's I don't know, Bohemian Rhapsody. Just try it, okay, Arsenal. Just try it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you got the guys. You bend his ear, so
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
His name is Josh Kroenke, by the way.
Of course.
All right, John. Who's your third?
My third is like tongue in cheek, but I think it would be extremely great if they actually did this. The Curb Your Enthusiasm theme. Because either way, that's
what we should play after we lose.
Or win, because if you lose to Arsenal, you got it dun 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 dun. Or if we lose, it works either way, in my opinion. And
I wish we could play these, but it would be just an automatic,
strike. But I feel like that music plays through my head at the end of every match anyway recently. So I
feel like that music plays after every meal that I have. I just get up from the table and it's like boom, boom, boom. But that's fantastic. I think that's my favorite. I like that. And so with that is mic drop number 4. The final of the 5 mic drops for today.
Number 5.
three biggest anticipated shock stars of the Amazon All or Nothing documentary. Now, we know that they've been filming this since probably July. They got lots of good footage, lots of footage of good moments, and lots of footage of bad moments, which will probably be embargoed and we'll never see.
Yeah.
But anytime you have a documentary like this, you get to know the players, the staff, everyone, a little bit more behind the scenes than you might think. And there's always someone that comes out and they're like, wow, I had no idea they were like this. So outside the box, we're not just talking about players, but they can be players. But three biggest shock stars of the Amazon All or Nothing series. Starting with you.
I'll come up with those. I completely misinterpreted what I'm supposed to be trying to figure out here. I thought it was going to be kind of unexpected cameos. so my list is Arsene Wenger, Mesut Ozil in the Gunnosaurus suit, and Coach Beard in hippie pants.
Well, that would be nice. Coach Beard is a Gooner. We know that.
He is a Gooner. So,
oh my God, that's hilarious. That's almost better than if you had answered it appropriately.
So that's what I got.
Yeah, I guess I would have if I meant that. I probably would have said cameo appearances, but I can see why you would.
Amazon stars, shock stars. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, then if you think of any while I'm giving my three, then feel free. But I'm going to say the first shock star is going to be Tomiyasu. Just cause imagine we all, and rightly or wrongly, I think a lot of us probably assume that he's a mild-mannered, and based on his comments that he's made, just a person who's proud to be wearing the badge, works as hard as he possibly can, but you wouldn't normally see on the pitch a tremendous amount of personality. Behind the scenes, though, dude probably break dances in the dressing room after wins. He's probably doing the robot, smoking in the shower, winning a genital measuring contest. The guy probably is more dynamic than anyone else in the team right now. So I'm going to say that would be one of my three shock stars. The second would be Edu, because think about when this started. It's kind of like if you remember the "Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego" kind of segment. I don't know if you're old enough for that, but it's the August transfer window. What is Edu cooking? What beach is he on? Wait, it's January and the window's about to close. What is that on, Edu? Is that a lay? Is he doing a hulu dance? Is that a coconut bra? He's in Hawaii.
Coconut bra.
Yeah, Edu in a coconut bra essentially is the name of episode 5, I think, of All or Nothing. So I think he could potentially steal the show, although not in a way that's going to make Gooners particularly happy. And then my final one. Have you thought of any before I go to the final one?
Yeah, I was thinking, because shock stars, I want to see Aubameyang in a leadership position in the dressing room. That's going to be weird for me to see, because he's allegedly a leader. He's been made captain. So I've never seen that side of him, and I think it would be shocking to see Aubameyang actually being serious.
That would be shocking, and and as shocking as having an actual serious answer to this question is, but that would be shocking.
What do you expect?
We'll find out we'll probably see a tremendous amount of Granit Xhaka doing Granit Xhaka leadership stuff.
It's going to piss people off.
Behind the scenes, because
how competent of a leader he is, it's going to piss people off, I think.
Yeah, that would be the narrative that's being portrayed. Do you have any others?
No, give me another one. I'll keep thinking.
Well, okay. Well, then we'll either finish off with this or this will be my last one. The Arsenal groundskeeper. In one game, the North London Derby last month, he had a huge day, and not a great day either. But I'm imagining they spent an entire episode cursing at Aubameyang for making those 3 deep divots on the pitch with his knee slide after his goal against Spurs. I'm guessing dude probably walked up to Abba's Lambo and just made 3 deep scratches in the driver's door and was like, "How you like me now?" Then he finds Gabriel's second missing tooth on the pitch and adds it to his Gabriel's teeth necklace that he's been constructing. And we'll kind of get a behind the scenes on the various pieces of jewelry he's making out of players' body parts that have come off on the pitch. Bellerin's knee and that sort of thing. But I think the groundskeeper, a little insight, a whole episode about the groundskeeper and the various travails that he or she has to deal with, I think would be fantastic. So come on, Amazon, give us the content that we want.
Do it. I think I got one now in the line. Now I see where we're going with this. I think a shock star is going to be Arteta's hairdresser, and you're going to see behind the scenes like a lot of vitriol and unmitigated, misappropriated anger towards Arteta's kind of mistaken, or maybe not mistaken, belief that parts of his hair being out of place during matches were the cause of our downfall, and we're going to see him just rail into this guy for not keeping his hair perfect.
So you think Arteta has a very rocky relationship with his hairdresser? It's not. I think it's not like the relationship that Andy Rhodes has with his hairdresser.
No, very zen, very Andy Rhodes is a very symbiotic relationship with his hairdresser. I feel like with Arteta,
it's his pedicurist that he doesn't get along with.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and I think there's a big rumor going around about Andy and his pedicurist that we all know about. We don't need to bring it up here. So
no, not from his family.
Of course. So yeah, I think that's going to be a shock star for me.
All right. Well, those are that is mic drop number 5. The 3 biggest shock stars of the Amazon documentary. So that is episode 2 of Magic Mike in the can, as we say it in the industry. Thank you, Jon, Miami Jon, Chicago Jon, soon to be Wagadoogoo Jon, world traveler. Follow Jon on Twitter at 305cast, as you see at the bottom of your screen, or you could just wander around Chicago, and I'm sure you'll run into him
eventually.
Look for the guy with the beard and the defunct needing to be done more podcast.
Yep.
And that's Jon for you. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on here.
And I am Magic Mike of the Gooners Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Gooners Pod. You can also see me on the Arsenal Soup Show every couple of weeks on Lee Judge's TV. And you can see me if you get a ladder and you find my house and you peer into the windows. But trust me, you do not want that. This has been Drop the Magic Mike, brought to you by the Highbury Squad. Come on, you Gooners.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.